y'all enjoy, and we'll see you in 5 here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama.
NPR podcasts are now available on every platform. Check out all our shows at npr.org/podcasts. That's npr.org/podcasts.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Speer. A federal watchdog office says the Constitution's emoluments clauses should have been considered when officials reviewed the lease for President Trump's D.C. hotel in 2017. NPR's Peter Overby tells us the hotel is a favorite hangout for politicians, lobbyists, and foreign diplomats, and a profit center for the Trump Organization.
Trump's hotel occupies an old federal office building. The General Services Administration holds the lease, which includes a blanket statement that federal laws apply. Now, GSA's Inspector General faults the agency for disregarding the emoluments clauses of the Constitution. They say the president cannot take payments or favors from foreign officials or from state governments. The IG says GSA lawyers discussed those constitutional issues but chose to ignore them. The IG also questioned the agency's conclusion that Trump wasn't affected by a provision in the lease that says federal elected officials cannot benefit from the lease. The White House and the Trump Organization, which owns the hotel, didn't respond to requests for comment. Peter Overby, NPR News, Washington.
The Open Doors organization, tracking Christian persecution around the world, today released its annual list of countries where being a Christian puts one in danger. Not surprisingly, North Korea is number 1, but some U.S. allies are also on the list, as NPR's Tom Gelton reports.
Last year, according to Open Doors, brought a dramatic rise in the persecution of Christians. Christian women were targeted both as Christians and as women. Islamist radicalism is behind much of the persecution, but not all. Open Doors CEO David Curry says India is now, for Christians, among the worst places in the world.
The BJP party, which is the ruling party, Prime Minister Modi's party, has created a radical Hindu agenda that seeks to push out Christian faith and anything other than the Hindu faith.
Rising nationalism and authoritarianism are making conditions worse, Curry says, for everyone belonging to a minority religious group. Tom Gelton, NPR News.
The American businessman killed in the terrorist attack in Nairobi is being remembered as a person dedicated to helping others. Jason Spindler, a 9/11 survivor, left a successful career on Wall Street to join the Peace Corps, where he helped farmers in Peru. Spindler moved to Kenya, where he set up an investment firm. He was getting lunch when terrorists stormed a hotel complex there. He was among the 21 killed. Jason's father, Dr. Joseph Spindler, lives in Houston.
We've been getting phone calls now and texts from all over the world for people that I met him even once, and he had touched them.
His parents are leaving for Kenya to bring their son home for a burial on American soil. He was to turn 41 next week. Bank stocks helped lead the market higher today after strong earnings from Goldman Sachs. The Dow was up 141 points today. You're listening to NPR. As a strike by Los Angeles teachers entered its third day, the head of the union there was hinting at contract talk resumptions. United Teachers Los Angeles President Alex Caputo Pearl says the union had engaged L.A. Mayor Eric Garcetti to help in the ongoing dispute over pay, class size, and support staff levels. It's the first teacher strike there in 30 years. The district is staffing classrooms with substitute teachers. Protesters gathered today outside the headquarters of Sony Music Entertainment in Manhattan. They are demanding it cut ties with R. Kelly. As NPR's Colin Dwyer explains, the demonstration follows a series of high-profile condemnations of the R&B superstar.
R. Kelly has long been trailed by claims that he has sexually and physically abused young women. But outrage has only grown since the release earlier this month of Lifetime TV's docuseries, Surviving R. Kelly, in which 7 women were interviewed. In recent days, Lady Gaga and Chance the Rapper, among others, have disavowed Kelly. Now, protesters like Natalie Green want his label to do the same.
I think we have reached a tipping point where it is just unexplainable that R. Kelly would still be on one of the biggest record labels in the world.
Kelly is a marquee artist for RCA Records, which is owned by Sony. The label did not respond to NPR's request for comment. Colin Dwyer, NPR News, New York.
John Bogle, the man many consider the father of the low-cost index fund, has died, according to Vanguard Group, the company he founded in the early 70s. Bogle, who went by Jack, pioneered the idea of simplifying investing for the average person by introducing low-cost mutual funds. Jack Bogle was 89 years old. I'm Jack Spear, NPR News in Washington.
And you are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting in Birmingham, Alabama. This is the Paranormal Experience radio show. I'm Kat Hobson, your host. I am so enjoying my guest tonight, and I know y'all are too, Willie Windwalker Gibson. He is one of the most experienced people in the paranormal. He is probably just the most amazing person because of his background and his experiences. And you can learn about these. He has 2 books available on Amazon. One is Soul Warriors, and the other is The Shaman Windwalker. So if you want to learn about him and learn about what he does, I'd grab it and growl, because you know what? That's some great information out there. Willie, we have got some questions here in chat, and I wanted to get to them because I think that there's a lot to learn, and then I have one myself. But Brenda wants to know if, as a shaman, do you believe that the moon can cause mental illnesses or mental breaks?
That what does?
The moon.
Well, the moon has different, it regulates the tides and everything, and I believe that too, because I've had experiences where knew this person that had a mental problem, that when the moon was out, I mean they were, even if they were on a medication, they were really out there. And then when the moon, the tide with the vibration and everything was low, then the person was okay. So yeah, I do believe it's energy. It's all about energy. That's what shamans work with, energy, and it's all about energy. And I had a case one time where a lady called me and says, I'm possessed. I said, what? She said, I'm possessed. They took my kids away from me, and I'm possessed, and you've got to come and do an exorcism. I said, wait a minute now. She said, no, you need to come to my apartment and do an exorcism. I said, I'll tell you what, why don't you meet me at a McDonald's and we can talk about it. So I took Shaman and another person, another soul warrior at the time, and we met this lady at a McDonald's, and she sat there and she was, rolling her eyes back in her head, and her head was jerking, and her tongue was, moving, her jaw was jerking. And I said to myself, she said, they took my kids away because I'm possessed. I know if you do an exorcism, they'll give my kids back. I said, are you on anything? Have you been in the hospital? And I've been in the, I've been in the hospital. I said, you on any kind of medication? She said, yeah, I'm on Haldol. I said, you still on Haldol? She said, no. I said, you know what's wrong with you? She said, no. I said, you're off your meds. And I said, you got tardive dyskinesia, because my wife has tardive dyskinesia, and she does the same thing, but she's not possessed. Well, you need to come over and do it. I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do that, because you need to get back on your meds, and I'm not going to do that. Well, she went back, got on social media, and called me a fraud and all this kind of stuff. And the social media ran her off of the internet, because they knew I knew what I was talking about, and she was just trying to get her kids back. So, again, you got to know what you're dealing with. And yes, people with mental problems can be affected by the moon.
Well, she said that she has a family member with dementia that gets bad right before the full moon, and she's witnessed it long enough now to believe it.
Yes.
So I feel for her. I know that's really a bad situation, but we love her. And then Chris,
well, you just got, all you can do is just show them the love and watch them real close.
Yes. Now I have a question from Chris here in chat, and he wants to know, what is the single most important thing that you have learned as a shaman or practitioner of energy manipulation?
Respect. Especially when you're dealing with spirits, you have to show respect, and you don't treat it like a joke. When you go into a situation, you treat all energy with respect, just like you treat electricity with respect. You don't go stick your finger in a socket, unless you know what's going to happen. So you treat that socket with respect, and don't do that. You do the same when you're going into a situation. You treat whatever you're going into with respect.
Well, I think that's the absolute. It's been the truth in my experience too. And what is this? Chris says that we are supposed to have a blood wolf moon for our next full moon. What is that? Do you know?
Well, a lot of people saying that's a sign of the end of the world. No, it's just the way the moon phase is all it is. A lot of people do a lot of ritual like that too. I know a lot of people that that are into some dark stuff. They go out and do that. A lot of people that are with white stuff, they go out and do that. But it's just a regular. It's a scientific thing with the moon. I mean, it's pretty to look at. But don't put any more power into it other than it's a red moon. I mean, it's not the end of the world or anything. But
and
if you want to go out, you want to go out and do prayers and stuff like that, you can do that. You can do that any time. But if you want to do it that particular time, you can.
I'm always disappointed because if you don't remember that it's a blood moon, then it doesn't last very long. You usually get it with the moonrise, and if you're late, you have to wait months for another one. But they come often.
I miss it all the time. I'm so tired when I do stuff, I just completely miss it.
Yes. And Chris says, well, that's good news as well. So that's a yay.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared because the moon's red.
Yeah. Well, my question goes back to what you were talking about with fairies. And I had an experience with a young man who was at a place where I buy sage and frankincense and myrrh and some oils and stuff. And it was unusual. So I just didn't know what was going on. The young man told me that he was magical. And I said, so you're a witch? And he looked at me. He said, no, I'm magical. And my parents are magical people also. We're a magical family. And I said, okay. This was all new to me. So I was going to be doing an investigation at a park with my team nearby. He said that he had seen fairies there, and that because they had slayed something that was eating them, that the queen of the fairies allowed him to see her. A couple of people with him and him to see her. And I just kind of looked at him and I said, that's so interesting. And when he locked eyes with me, it was almost like the Spock mind meld thing where everything around was a sun shimmer, a heat shimmer thing. And I've only had that experience with spirits in the past, never with a living human. And, it lasted a hot minute. And when he finished, I don't know what he was looking for, but when he finished, I looked at him. I said, well, did you find what you were seeking? And he just kind of looked at me like he was shocked that I knew it had happened. Have you come across people who do things like that?
To me?
Well, to anyone. I mean, is that an unusual practice? How did he do that?
I've got a story for that too, Cass. So get ready for this.
I'm ready.
Okay. I do readings at my house, and people comes in and gets readings from me and everything. Sometimes they used to bring groups of people. So a group of people, women came, pull up one time, and there were about 6 of them. They come and sat in my living room. She was hosting them, and I was taken back in my reading room and doing readings. Well, this one lady come in there, and I set her down, and she was looking at me, and I was trying to do the reading, and she was just staring at me. And I said, is something wrong? And she says, don't you feel me? I said, what do you mean? Well, look at my eyes. And I looked in her eyes, and I said, what? What's going on? She says, that I've got powers. I said, oh, really? She said, yes. She says, I'm a reincarnation of Jesus. I said, really? She said, yes. And he said, you know who you are? I said, no. She says, you're Judas. I said, really? She said, yes. She said, I've got a group of people that I'm gathering. I'm gathering up all my disciples, and you were the last one. And I was told to come to here I got the feeling